show you my toys.
Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing you another action figure review. Today we're looking at the Neca Armored Assassin figure from the film The Predator. Now this is the main villain in this film. He's a deluxe ultra armored assassin predator. He's about 10, 12 feet tall in the film, probably 12 feet. This guy was kind of dumb in the film, the whole idea of him. He looked really cool. A lot of parts of the film were dumb, but this guy was still enjoyable. Pure CGI in the film, but the figure looks amazing. This is the second character from this film. We've already got the Fugitive, and I'm really looking forward to the two emissary figures coming up in the near future. So let's check out the packaging. Here in the front, we've got the Ultra Assassin fighting the Fugitive. This was maybe based on a poster, something that wasn't really ever in the film. You can see the ship in the background here. The Predator, Armored Assassin, Deluxe action figure. Ages 17 plus. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. Usually it's 12 plus. I don't think a 16-year-old would be prone to swallow these parts. So on the side we've got the Predator, Armored Assassin, Deluxe action figure. On the other side, just a picture of the guy, same one from the front. The top, just more movie logo. The bottom, we've got the barcode and some of the people involved making this product. And then on the back here, you can see the figure. He's got two different heads, mouth open, mouth closed. Looks like he's got some arm accessories, a weapon, knife, as well as a sort of blaster. And of course in the front, he's in their window box packaging with Velcro. Open it up. You can see on this side a picture of the figure. And here is the actual figure. Look, he's so tall. This guy looks great, huge, very unique Predator. I did end up purchasing two of these figures. I thought they would make very cool sort of guards in a Predator display. Of course, I have one with the mask, the mouth shut, the mouth open. I do think Neca might eventually make a second variation of this. There's an armored and unarmored look in the film. They could pretty much just repaint him a different color to achieve that. It didn't have any actual physical armor pieces. So, let's go and open this guy up, and looking forward to this for quite a while. And this figure was a part of a haul of a bunch of figures from Amazon.com. Sure, their price is outrageous to ship one figure, but if you add more, it's only about $1 more per figure. Alright, well now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all of his accessories laid out. This guy is huge. He's probably bigger than a Barbie doll. Loving this figure so far. His detail is great. He looks menacing. He looks fantastic. He looks better than his part was in the actual film. And I don't completely hate the film by any means. I don't completely hate him from the film. I actually think he's one of the cooler parts of the film. But as a whole, the film left you with a little bit more to be desired. So I see he comes with two different heads, 4 different hands total, a plasma weapon that comes out of one of his wrists, and a wrist blade, and then a little plug to use in the other wrist when he's not using his plasma cannon. Before we look at the accessories further, let's check out the actual figure. This is a very unique Predator, super big, genetically engineered by his own clan. Absolutely awesome. So cool. We don't get new kind of Predators. I mean, we get all kind of different Predators, but we don't get a brand new, unique, physically different Predator from the other ones too often. So, here is his face, looking all kind of mean. He just looks mad and pissed off. Look at his hair, look at the little clips on it. I think it looks great so far. This guy's awesome. He's kind of sharp to the touch. The spikes on his hands, his head, etc. They almost hurt when you touch him. Pretty cool. See the little red lines going through, the gray skin. He's got his wrist attire. I know this is where you'll plug in the blade, and this is where you'll plug in either the plug or the plasma canister. You can see his shorts. Just everything about this guy looks great. One thing I will point out, this guy's feet, a very small area of which you can stand him on, making it pretty difficult to get this guy to stand. One definitely annoying feature about this guy, being so big, it'd be nice if he had a little bit more flat area of the foot to stand on. And then here he is broken down with all of his removable pieces laid out in front of him. And then here are both of them broken down as far as I can go with all their accessories laid out down below. Alright, well now let's check out this guy's accessories. Like I said before, 2 heads, one with the mouth open, 1 closed. 4 hands, 2 open, 2 fisted. He's got his plasma canister that comes out of his wrist, a plug to cover the hole while he's not using it, and then a wrist blade. As you can see here, the 2 heads. This one here, mouth closed, he just looks annoyed, mean, angry. And this one here, it's like he's screaming. Absolutely love them both. They've got really nice detail. You can see the spikes on their head, spikes out of each one of his pieces of hair, the little clips or whatever. I know the movie said these are sensory objects. I'm still going to refer to them as hair. Just overall, very, very pleased with what I'm seeing here. And this guy here too, just looking so mean, angry. Look inside that mouth. Man, love the detail on these figures. Really, really, really nice. And then in here he is wearing his closed mouth head. And then here he is wearing his open mouth head. This thing looks great, menacing. He's screaming, growling. Just looks great. The detail's excellent on this guy. And here are both the different heads on each one of the Deluxe Predators. Must say, I think I prefer the screaming one, the open mouth one, to the other one, but they both look really sharp. Next up, let's look at this guy's various different hands. He's got 2 fisted, and you can see they've got spikes all over them. I've swept his hands out a couple times. These ones in particular, they really do hurt when you're pushing them in there. Then he's also got 2 open hands. Now here he is rocking both of his fisted hands. And then here he is as he's rocking both of his open hands. Good for touching things, possibly choking or lifting things. Next on his accessories, let's check out his wrist blade. This thing is quite long. It hooks in very similar to the Fugitives into his gauntlet that way. And then as you can see on his wrist gauntlet, there's some indents, some holes here. Take this, slide it in, push it into place. Stays in very firmly, doesn't fall out very easily. Then here he is, big, tall, imposing, ready to do some damage. He's got this thing out here. I do remember a part in the movie where he was just jabbing some guy. This figure so far is not disappointing. So in order to use his plasma canister, on his left wrist gauntlet, there's this hole right here. You can either plug it in or attach his canister that way. First, I'll check out the little plug piece. It's a small little silver triangle. You can kind of see on the bottom here, it's not a perfect square. There's one little chunk missing here, and that kind of shows you how to put it inside of his wrist. And then here's his wrist gauntlet with the hole. And then here it is, plugging up the hole with the little piece. This is just sort of intended while it's broken down and enclosed into his wrist gauntlet. And then here it is with his plasma canister attached. Looking pretty cool. And then as you can see here he is with his arm extended, pointing his cannon at you. His wrist gauntlet here is movable, so you have to get it just the right way you want. And then in addition to that, this thing here has actual articulation. You can see there's a joint at both the top and the bottom that both move independently of each other. So pretty cool if you ask me. So next up, let's check out the height of this figure. Now this is a really big deal to me. This guy's been boasting how big he is. He was huge in the movie. Now, how big is the actual figure. A typical Predator is, I'd say, about 8 inches. We'll check that out in just a second. So this guy here, from the very top to the bottom, looks like he's sitting at between 11 1/4 and 11 1/2 inches. I'd say about 11 1/2 inches tall, definitely. And here he is standing next to the Fugitive. The Fugitive is a pretty standard sized Predator. Boy, these guys have a big height difference. Fugitive is close to 9 inches tall, so this guy's got at least 2.5 full inches on him, probably about a total of 3 inches taller. Boy, he's gonna smash the Fugitive. This is the guy you want to bring with you if you're in a raiding party trying to capture a queen as a Predator. Next, let's check out this guy's articulation. One thing I would like to point out, he had some extremely stiff joints. The top part of his knee, as well as both of his elbow joints. I decided to heat him up, and I suggest anyone else do the same. I got boiling water, I gave him a little jacuzzi bath, then I tested all his joints very slowly, carefully, securely, and even after he's cooled down, I'm still having trouble with some of the joints. I'm probably have to heat him up again and loosen him up a little more even. And here they are, taking a little bath, their knees in the water, some boiling water. I boiled it in this pan, then poured it into this pan so they wouldn't have hot metal to possibly get melted onto. Right now I'm getting ready to unstick their knees. Kind of funny seeing them taking a hot tub bath together. Alright, so let's see how the articulation turned out. This guy's had a couple hours to cool since that scene was taken. So of course his head, yes, it can go around, it can tilt, it can rotate all around. Look down about that far and up, considerably high. His shoulders, really, they possibly go out further than I know, but he's got this sort of armor-ish material up here. It is made of soft material. You can kind of see it bunching up in there. I don't really want to push his shoulder up more than this because that's not really going under his sort of top part like I would like maybe it's designed to. So that hinders his articulation quite a bit. It does, of course, go all the way around, no problem. He's got double jointed elbows here. You can see a joint at the top and the bottom. In addition to that, he's got a swivel on the bottom. He's also got a swivel on the top. And you can see his arm can go all the way up. Use hot water. This guy's joints are very, very, very stiff. I'm still having issues with a lot of them, so I'm going to have to give him another bath and maybe another one after that. Don't push the joints. Heat them up first. You will regret it if you don't. Then his wrist, of course, can go around, and it's hinged as well. He's got sort of an ab crunch thing here. Can move around, go up and down just a tiny bit, and it can kind of go from side to side a little bit. Then he's got another ball sort of down here, which gives him a ton of range of motion in there from completely straight. He can look down this far totally and up that far totally, so not too bad. His legs make this horrible popping sound when you move them, which I really don't like. Then go out about that far. Forward, you can hear a similar popping noise. About that far, not too impressive there. And then back, just a little bit. Yes, they can kind of move around, but God, I hate that sound. His legs, double joint knees, and a swivel at the top part here. Very, very tight. Most of my knees are still not working properly. So here's the bottom part moving. I really don't want to push that. And you can see on this one, here's the top part moving. Then his feet, he's got a hinge here. And it also has a swivel there. And then his foot here can go up and down. And it also is sort of hinged or rocker. And I hate to say it, it's almost too much articulation in his foot. With his flat foot surface area being so small, it is so hard to get this guy to where he can stand properly. Big, big missed opportunity on this figure is the way his feet really betray you along the way. Next, I would like to compare this Assassin Predator figure to a ton of different Alien Predator figures to see how he stacks up scale-wise, style-wise. I think this guy's a very great, unique addition to the collection. So let's start off by looking at figures from the film The Predator. Let's just talk about that film for a second. So the film itself had some really dumb ideas. For example, taking the skull and spine just for the spinal fluid, or coming to Earth because of global warming. The ending was pretty dumb as well. But the actual visuals, the way the Predators acted, looked, and killed was really on point. It's a shame that they didn't have all the other stuff right. The action comedy was good. The actual substance was pretty much awful. My point to that is these figures represent some really, really excellent visuals from the film. Fugitive here, he looks absolutely great. You can see there are two different versions of Fugitive. We got the thermal kind. These are all the figures they've released so far from this film. Even though there's only 3 figures, we are aware of 3 more figures that are going to come out. The original cut to the film had 2 different Predators called the Emissaries, and they were working with the military, fighting off these dishonorable upgrade Predators, if I'm not mistaken. Fugitive, I believe, is from the same clan, for he wears the same mask. Emissary number 1 comes out next week, and number 2 probably within the next couple months. I'm looking forward to getting a few of each of those to have a little military squad of Predators. Kind of reminds me of the arcade game Predators. They're working with the humans in that game. There's another figure they're going to be releasing, another version of the Fugitive here. He's like a lab escape fugitive. Most of his armor is missing, and etc. So pretty cool. They've made it very clear they're not going to make the Predator dogs. And they sure didn't say they were not going to make the robotic Predator suit at the end, but they sure didn't confirm it either. I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually see that thing. As you can see, Fugitive is probably about 2/3 as tall as Assassin. And speaking of Predator Hounds, these two are from the film Predators. Now, I didn't like the Predator Hounds in the film that much, mainly because of the way they had them act. They pretty much treated them as a joke. They were for humor. They would end up being friendly after they were lobotomized. It's just ridiculous. The designs were not that great either, but I damn sure would have bought a couple figures of them so I could have that part from the movie. Neca has made it very clear they hate the design, the fans hate the design, and they're not going to pursue making them. So one could substitute these if you needed to. These designs were a lot better. But I thought to myself, they just don't look different enough. And so I took these two guys off my Ghostbuster shelf. These are Terror Dogs. And decided I'm going to use these as substitutes for the Assassin's hunting dogs, his Hounds. They don't really look like them at all from the film. But I can sort of pretend myself. They probably would look better if I took the horns out, or at least closer to the design from the film. They had sort of just a predator-looking face. They had hair, but ugh. Yeah, the design was not that great. I can definitely understand Neca's decision, although I sure would have liked to have had them myself. Well, like I said, I'm going to use these with this guy. They're going to be on the shelf together. You may think I'm wrong or crazy, but it's going to work in my universe. My Ghostbuster shelf was getting way overcrowded anyway, so I need to relieve a little pressure from there. And then over the years, I found this transparent version of the same guy for really, really cheap. I passed it up one time for a good price, and then it came across my lap again. I was like, you know what? I can sure use these guys. It's sort of semi-transparent, as if they're in the middle of cloaking. There's so many Predators they've made like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Sure, it doesn't really make sense for the Hound to be cloaking, but I don't know, maybe they had him eat one of those little cloaking balls and they can cloak at will. Just kind of a little extra enhancement that I thought worked good for these guys. Here he is next to a couple of recently released Ultimate Predators. We've got the Golden Angel and Ahab here. Here he is next to Bad Blood and Enforcer. This was a Predator Ultimate 2-pack that came out recently. Here they are next to the most recent traditional Predator wave that was released. This is Series 22. And although they've made tons of other Predator figures since then, they have not even shown us what 23 is going to be. And they've sort of implied they're going to be steering away from traditional waves, making more Ultimates and one-offs. Which okay by me as long as they keep stuff coming. Ever since NECA's delay, they have come back with a vengeance. Their figures are just great. So Machiko and the Assassin. Let's talk about these two for a second. These two are arguably the most unique Predators out there. We've got a human female, a lot smaller than the Predators, dressed and acting as a Predator. And then we got this giant Predator. He's literally twice the size of her. These are probably my two favorite Predators that have been released this year, just because they're so different. And then here he is next to the most recently released Predator Wave. This is not Series 23, this is a sort of spin-off, one-off from the 1994 Alien vs. Predator arcade game. Pretty cool looking figures, unique as well as far as the way they're colored. And then here he is next to Dutch and Lynn from the arcade series, Puny Humans. Another figure I wanted to compare him to is Berserker from Predators. This guy here always kind of reminded me of the Assassin, or the Assassin reminded me of him. Their coloring is very similar, as well as kind of the way their mouths look. As you can see, there are definitely some similarities between their faces. Here he is standing next to the Alien Queen. I put her in her complete, fully upright position. She's definitely taller than him, bigger than him, meaner than him. At first I thought I put money on him, but you know what, looking at this, nah, I don't think I will. They've also got the newborn coming from Alien Resurrection, and the way they made that figure, it looks really tall. I think it's going to be a really cool match versus this Predator Assassin. Here he is next to a few of the Kenner aliens. You can see these guys are pretty big, a little bit taller than your traditional aliens. The Snake Alien is not as tall as the Assassin the way he is right now, but you can see a bunch of his tail curled up. It looks like the Mantis Alien, and he could even be stretched out a little bit more, is pretty much as tall as the Assassin Predator. Here he is next to a Dog Alien, stood upright as much as he can. He's not quite as tall as the Assassin, but he's darn sure close. Next, I'd like to compare him to Predators from each one of the films, starting with the first Predator film. Here he is next to the Ultimate Jungle Hunter. Here he is next to the entire Lost Clan from Predator 2. And then here he is next to Celtic Scar, Chopper, and the Elder from Alien vs. Predator. And then here he is next to Wolf from Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. Neca has stated they are going to be releasing an ultimate version of him in the future. They've teased a few pictures, nothing officially been listed yet, but look for that to come, probably the beginning of next year if I were to guess. And then here he is next to Falcon Tracker, Berserker, and the Classic from Predators. And then here he is next to the Fugitive Predator from The Predator. Cannot wait to add the emissaries to the collection. Really want to have the two emissaries and the Fugitive taking on the Assassin and his Hounds. Here he is next to a couple of Engineer figures. Here he is next to a couple of Xenomorphs from the 1986 film Aliens. Here he is next to some various humans from Alien and Predator lines. Here he is taking on some Colonial Marines. You know, I could actually see him taking out all of these guys. One of the reasons I got two of these guys, I thought they would make great, giant, ancient temple guards for a Predator temple. And as you can see here, this is them. This is their entire life. Just living, just existing, just to guard this place. Next, does he fit into the Predator throne? Well, he's definitely too big for it the way it's intended, but honestly, I think he looks pretty good and is fudgeable. Here they are in a Weyland-Yutani facility, engage in combat with a bunch of Weyland-Yutani commandos. And here's a little bit more of an aerial shot, looking down at them escaping the Weyland-Yutani facility. You can see in the background we've got Charles Weyland pleading them not to let his specimens escape. Here they are fighting a couple of power loaders. They're actually bigger than the power loader, believe it or not. Here he is trying to take down some engineers in their own temple. He ain't taking nothing from nobody. And look at this guy. He doesn't have to. And then of course he's victorious. Look at him here holding his engineer mask and engineer skull. This is the engineer skull that came with Ahab and the mask that came with the deacon. Here he is in an urban city setup fighting a bunch of soldiers. All in all, I'm going to say this figure's great. I like him a lot. He's huge, he's massive, he's intimidating, he's everything I hoped he'd be. His articulation is every bit as good as a regular Predator, although the joints are very stiff. I think I can correct that over time. One thing I absolutely hate about him is his feet. The flat surface area is way too small, making it hard for him to stand. It's not just his feet or the position of his knees. You also have to balance the top part of him. He's very top heavy. If they had just done something a little bit better with the feet, I would like this figure a lot more. As it is, I'm going to go ahead and give this guy an 8 out of 10. I'd probably give him a 9 if his feet weren't such an annoying issue. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add in the comments. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys real soon.